In the last lesson, we began discussing the Pages panel and pages in InDesign. In this lesson, we'll continue discussing the Pages panel, including options that may be hidden under the Options menu, as well as tips, tricks, and secrets. If you'd like to follow along, go under the File menu to Open. And in the Sample Files folder, select 0306-A, Pages, Beyond the Basics. And then go down to 0306-C. Hold down your Shift key to select all three documents and click Open. And that will open all three documents in tabs. Why don't we open the Pages panel and begin? If I double-click on one of the page thumbnails in my Pages panel, InDesign is going to go to that page. If I double-click again, it's going to center that page in my document window. If I go to my Zoom tool and click and drag across the width of my layout, it's going to fit the width in the window. What if I wanted to get back to having the full page in my document window so I can see the whole thing? If I double-click again on page 2, it's going to fit that page in the window so I can see the whole page. Let me double-click on page 1. If you didn't know that this was a postcard, this may seem like a very strange document because the front is vertical and the second is a horizontal design in a vertical layout. This was done because here in the United States, at least, if you want to mail a postcard, the address side has to be held horizontally. So that's the way it was designed. Well, working on a document like this can very quickly give you a stiff neck if you're trying to read and edit the text. So, is there a way to actually rotate the view of this page so I'm looking at it horizontally to make it easier to work on? Well, if I go under my Options menu to Page Attributes, Rotate Spread View, I can choose 90 degrees CW, which is going to turn the page clockwise 90 degrees, making it much easier to work on this page. And you can see when I did that, it added a little icon right next to the page, letting me know that the page has been rotated. And if I hover over it, it even tells me it's been rotated minus 90 degrees. Now, when I'm done with my postcard and the design is approved by my client, before I send this to my commercial printer, I'm going to unrotate the view of the page, just in case they don't know about this feature, because you'll probably end up getting a call from your printer saying, what is going on with this document? So before you put the layout on disk, go under your Options menu to Page Attributes, Rotate Spread View, Clear Rotation. Let me go to the next document, which is 0306-B. This is going to end up being a slideshow. It's going to be exported to Adobe Acrobat. And if I wanted transitions between my pages, I can actually add them right here in InDesign in the Pages panel. To do that, first, let me go to page 1. I'm just going to scroll up in the panel to get to the first page and double-click on it to navigate to that page. And you can see that all the images are from photospin.com. Now, to add the page transitions, I'm going to go under my Options menu to Page Attributes, Page Transitions, and then Choose. This is going to allow me to choose the kind of transition I want to apply. And if I hover over these various transitions, it actually gives me a little preview of what it's going to look like. That way I can choose exactly the one that I want. I'm going to go to one called Fade and click on that. That is actually going to look very similar to a cross dissolve in film. And because Apply to All Spreads is checked by default, it's going to apply it to all of my slides. Let me just click OK. And you can see that it's adding an icon to let me know that a page transition has been applied. Now, if I wanted to get rid of my transitions or edit them, I could go back under my Options menu and choose Page Attributes, Page Transitions, and go to Edit, or If I wanted to clear my transitions, I can go to Clear All, and it's going to get rid of all of my transitions. If I forget to apply my transitions here in the Pages panel, I can always do it when I'm exporting to an interactive Acrobat. Why don't we go to the third document, which is 0306-C. And the reason that we're looking at this document is to discuss something that's turned on by default in the Pages panel. If you look under the Options menu, there's an item check that says Allow Document Pages to Shuffle. What is that about? Well, if I were to add a page in the middle of this document, it's going to shuffle all of the other pages forward, yet force them to remain in spreads. So if I'm not aware of what shuffle is, I could end up with some very strange things happening in certain documents. You can see that in my A master, the right page is red. Let me double click on that. You can see that I have an object covering the entire page of the right page that's red. And you can see in my actual document pages, that red background has been applied in all of my odd-numbered pages. Let me go back to page 2. On page 2, as well as page 4, 6, and 8, I have some local content. That's content that was actually created right here on this particular page. And you can see when I move that frame, the thumbnail actually updated and the type has moved down in the thumbnail. So this really is a representation of what's going on in your actual layout. Let me show you what the issue is. If I click on my left A master page and drag it down right next to page 2, 3, I'm not going to get a 3-page spread. What it's going to do is any local content is going to be shuffled forward. In a lot of layouts, this won't matter. But in a layout like this, where one of the pages from the master is totally different, it could lead to some very strange things. So be careful if you're adding pages after your document is designed. Let's talk about some of the other features under the Options menu of the Pages panel. If I click down on the Options arrow and go to Panel Options, all of the options for the way the pages appear in the panel are available, and I can change them. Like, for instance, the size of the pages thumbnails in the Pages section of the panel is at medium. You can see that the thumbnails for the master pages are smaller. That's because a different size was chosen from the pop-up menu. You can see in the next section it says Icons, and we've already talked about the icons for spread rotation and page transitions. If you apply either of them, you'll get a little icon to the right of your spread. But one thing remains unchecked by default, which is transparency. What that will do, if you check it, it will let you know when there's anything transparent on that particular spread. That includes transparency from placed images from Photoshop and transparency from placed Illustrator files. I'm going to uncheck that to go back to the defaults. The panel layout itself, by default, has the masters on top. You can, if you'd like, change it so the pages are on top. But I'm going to stick with masters on top and just click OK. There's also a little pop-up menu down the bottom of the Pages panel that says Edit Page Size. Let me add a page. I'm just going to add a page 10 and double-click on that page to make sure that I'm on it. And then when I click on the Edit Page Size pop-up menu, it gives me a bunch of standard media sizes, including letter, legal, tabloid, and a bunch of European sizes, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go to legal. Let's just see what happens. You can see, if I scroll down, that it made this page a lot taller. We're going to be talking a lot more about having different size and orientation pages in the same document in upcoming lessons. In the next lesson, we're going to talk more about the Pages panel and master pages.